Well, hey everybody, Bo Prosser here, Center for Christian Education, www.c4ce.org. How are you doing today? I hope you are doing good and are ready for another fascinating episode in our Center for Christian Education Leadership Series. Bo Prosser here, and I'm joined by Senior Associate at the Center, Dr. Pamela I. Pam, welcome back. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me.
I am delighted to be here for this interesting conversation.
So we're talking about change, and that's not interesting. That's frightening. So Pam, when somebody says things are going to change, how do you respond to that?
Well, I think that just for me, I think it could be an adventure or it could be a complete train wreck. Very seldom neutral about it.
All right. Well, I love change when I'm in charge. I hate change when I'm not in charge. So we're going to talk about this puzzle of change that is before us today and kind of see what we can learn about embracing change and at least avoiding a train wreck and see what comes out of that. You ready to rock?
Absolutely.
All right, three parts of this change puzzle that I want to talk about as we begin today. The first one is I really want to change, but somehow I don't. I need to lose weight. I need to manage my money. I need to eat healthier. Any of those things, why do we start with that statement?
Well, I think first it's important to recognize that what we're talking about today is when the change needs to be in me.
Okay.
And so what you said about when you're in charge, well, in this case, we are in charge because we're looking at a change within me. And it is hard for change to stick. So that's the somehow I don't. I
Okay.
try and I want it, but it's hard to stick.
All right. So I really want to change, but somehow I don't. So I need some help. So I'm going to go to the gym and get a trainer, or I'm going to hire a dietitian to put some menus together for me. I'm going to go to a money manager and manage my money better. All of those things, the resources are boundless to help us, correct?
I think so, yes.
Okay, but here's the bottom line. I don't really want to change. So what do we do with that?
Well, I think that we're change doesn't work within us unless we do really want it and
Okay.
unless it's something we value and we
Okay.
think is important to us. So I think that is the starting question. If you think, oh, this is hard and I really don't want to, like, you know, walking every day or any of those habits that you were talking about, I really don't want to do that. But maybe deep down, I am looking to do something different, change something about myself that I really value. So that's the first question.
Okay.
How important is it?
All right. So we really have to place a value on the change and commit to it.
Yes.
All right. So you're going to introduce to us today this fascinating book by Keegan and Leahy, and I love the title. It's a book in and of itself. Immunity to Change, How to Overcome It and Unlock the Potential in Yourself and Your Organization. That's a mouthful. And basically, what these authors are saying to us is, duh, it's hard for change to stick. So we know that. what else are they saying to us in this book?
Well, I think the most optimistic idea overall is that a lot of the psychology research before this book assumes that when we get to be adults, change, there's not much more growth necessarily. But Keegan and Leahy are optimistic and said, yes, we can grow as long as we are alive. But then the counterpoint is trying to understand what would help that growth and what would get in the way of it. And that's what the book is about.
Okay. So we have a built-in immunity to change.
We do, because we have things that we value and that we consider core parts of ourselves. And those things and the assumptions underneath those things, they're really what drive us, not
Okay.
those behaviors you were talking about, like going to the gym or getting a trainer or sticking with an exercise routine. It's really these deeper things that we value and we worry about that drive the change.
Okay. So we have to work around the immunity,
Exactly, because
right?
it's built in, it's part of what makes us human, and it's actually protecting us in a way. And because we don't want to feel foolish, we want to succeed. And so it is protecting us in that way.
Okay. So I've got to work around this immunity
Yeah,
with a value, an intrinsic value that is very important. And that takes me out of my comfort zone for a while, but then continues to leads me into growth, development, and better life, for lack of a better word.
absolutely. And I think when you look at it deeply in that way, it frees you to make the change. So
Okay.
it's hard work, but then you feel free when you figure out some of these answers.
Now here's the thing for me. It's easier for me to design that workaround just for me. But if I'm working in a church and I've got hundreds of people and they are all immune to change and I'm trying to help them change, or I'm working in my corporate organization and there's hundreds of people on my team and I'm trying to help them, it seems to me a bit more complicated.
It is, because change is complicated, and we all feel that. We know
Yeah.
it. We know it when we try it. But understanding this deeper assumptions that people have and this immunity and the commitments that people have and what people worry about, then in an organization, it helps get to the root of other people's issues with change. If we have deeply examined our own, then we know everybody is faced with the same thing.
Okay. All right. And normal and familiar is not where we want to be.
Well, it sort of is where we want to be, right?
Well,
Because,
we choose to be there. We
right,
choose normal and familiar, but you are saying that's not exactly where we want to be.
because we need to more deeply examine these drivers that will free us to be able to make the change stick. And
And
that's hard work.
yes, which I'm going to have to say to you, we don't want hard work. We want fast work, and we want relevant work, and we want to see immediate results. The kind of things that you're talking about are deeper and slower and not immediate at all.
No, but I agree. But my argument is that doing this work is more powerful. And when you come out of it on the other side, you can make leaps and bounds of progress rather than just slogging along.
Yes.
So the
All right.
work is worth it, I think.
Okay. So in the book, one of the research questions that they wrestle with in putting this together is why don't people take meds that will keep them alive? And some of the findings I found out, I was just amazed. 1 in 7 high risk heart patients consistently follow medication advice. Here's a pill. Take this pill. You'll feel better. You'll have a better life and you'll live well. And 1 in 7 said, okay. 50% of all patients across the medical field take meds as directed. Only half of us take our medicine as we should. And if we don't take our medicine as we should, poor adherence takes the lives of 125,000 people every year. That's just unbelievable to me. Until I go look at my pill box and say, did I take my pills today? And some days I forget. Some days I'm on the wrong day, and but half of us failed to take meds as directed. So they looked at how can we help people take meds better? And they begin with this statement, which I love: being immune doesn't mean resistant. So what does that mean for us?
Well, it means that because of the way that change works in our brains as we think about it and work through trying to make it stick, this is not a you have to try harder problem. It is that you have to understand sort of the mechanics of how change works in your brain in order to make the change stick and get it figured out.
Okay. And you say, and they say, somebody says, a problem is not a motivation. So just because I want to manage my money better, that doesn't necessarily motivate me to manage my money better.
Right.
So,
And getting up tomorrow and saying that same statement doesn't move you forward either.
right. So what these authors have put together and what you're helping us unpack is a way to work around this built-in immunity, to embrace change at a much deeper level than just I don't want to.
Exactly. And the bonus is it will make us more compassionate leaders because it gives us this deeper understanding that it's something we all face.
Okay. So let's talk about this insight for just a moment. We can change. you can change. You believe that.
Absolutely.
All right. So, tweaking the internal immune system, this workaround that we're talking about, how does that begin to work?
Well, Keegan and Leahy have laid out, based on looking at the patients and the medication, what were the elements that made the most difference in those people in the life or death situation. And the first one is you have to decide if you want to change. You have to commit to a real improvement goal that is specific.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
All right. Secondly,
You have to then recognize the behaviors that you're doing or not doing that are working against the goal. So you've got a specific goal. What am I doing or not doing instead?
okay, uncover hidden competing commitments. What does that mean?
It means identifying the things that I value and am deeply committed to that are driving the behaviors that I'm doing or not doing that are fighting the goal. So
Okay.
it's a
And
deeper,
then test out big assumptions. How do we do that?
well, the worries and competing commitments, underneath them are some assumptions that are usually invisible to people until we really dig to find them. And once we find them and test to see if they're valid or not, that can unstick the change.
Okay. So you have an instrument for us to look at?
Yes, it comes from chapter 9 in Keegan and Leahy's book, and they call it a map.
Okay. So what does this immunity map look like and what does it do for us?
It gets all of these questions, the answers to them for our own individual change out of our bodies and onto a piece of paper so that we can look at them, recognize them, and then figure out what to do next.
Okay. So this gives us an objective instrument to really look at what we want to do, what the value may be of doing it or not doing it, and what's keeping us from it. So that then we can move into a change with positive energy.
Absolutely. And really having a better understanding of what is driving those habits that you talked about originally that were the change things that people often do.
Okay. So they applied this process to taking medicine. So the goal is I want to take my meds and live and get better. And so doing or not doing instead, they didn't fill their prescriptions, or they skipped doses, or like me, they forgot what day it was, or they just said, I'm not taking it, period. It makes me feel bad, whatever.
Right.
Now, what I'm most intrigued by is this worry box that they outline. I tell people all the time, 50% of what you worry about never happens. And I have some worriers around me on my team and in my family, and they're worried about everything. So I mean, they could fill up this worry box. So what is the worry box, and what is this actually telling us?
What the question for the worry box to ask yourself or somebody that you're helping along with the process is, if I look at this second column of the things that I'm not doing or doing against the goal, what am I worried about if I were to do the opposite? So, for example, skipping doses. What am I worried about if I stop skipping the doses so that I can get to the goal?
Okay. All right.
So the worry is what nags at people, like you're talking about, and the commitments that are in the box are usually the flip side of the worries.
Okay.
So for this top one here, you're worried about that if I take my meds, it means I'm dependent on them. But the commitment is like the flip side of the worry. I'm committed to being autonomous.
Okay.
So then maybe I'm sort of not filling the prescription because I think I've got control of my own life. I don't need these dang pills or whatever it is you're telling yourself.
Right.
And then the worry is the reverse because I don't want to be dependent.
Okay. All right. And then the big assumptions come out of the worry. Is that right?
Yes, you have to really dig in and get all the worries on the paper and try to get all the commitments on the paper and then look at the assumptions that are driving those and say to yourself, what does the worry and the commitments mean?
Okay. All right. So, can I do this by myself?
Absolutely. Anybody can do it by yourself, but assumptions by definition are often hidden, and we would uncover them if we could alone.
Okay.
But it's harder to do than to work with somebody who can ask the questions that will prompt the insights from the
Okay.
person who's working through it.
So, better used with a coach or a
Yeah.
consultant for your team or for yourself. Either way, I can sit down and fill out some of this by myself, but it's really hard for me to dig deeper into myself without some prompts to do that.
Right, because you'd sort of like if you knew what was driving your behavior, you'd have fixed it already, right?
Right. Well, maybe. But I do like normal and comfort. So, that word normal, we live for normal. And there's a lot of places I could go with that, but I don't have time to today. So, we're going to practice. One of the things that I think many leaders struggle with is conducting more effective meetings. I have had 3 clients this week say to me, "Your meetings always seem to work. I always seem to get something out of your meetings. I don't get that same thing when I lead a meeting." And so we talked about some of that. We've not done the map. I didn't have the map fully in place at that point, so I wasn't able to work with them. But you're going to work with us. When I say us, I mean me, but representing whoever's watching, to conduct more effective meetings.
Sure.
All right. So I come to you and I say, "Coach Pam, my meetings suck. They go on too long. We never really get the main thing done that we came for. And it just seems like a prayer meeting or a kumbaya gathering or a waste of time. So what I really want to do is conduct more effective meetings. And you say to me, well, I have a tool that will help us do that. So we put together this map. We put it together ahead of time so we wouldn't have to waste time filling it out as we went along. But the goal is I will consistently lead more effective meetings. And we've identified some things that make effective meetings: setting an agenda, which most of us don't, having a time to work within that frame, which most of us don't, allowing time for collaboration, which some of us don't, and then making quality decisions, which some of us don't. So, doing or not doing, what does that mean? How do we get to fill in this box? How do we fill in this box?
Okay, so for the leader with this goal and these defined characteristics of a good meeting, you ask the leader, what are you doing or not doing instead of these effective practices? And you try to get a complete list. What are they
Okay.
doing or not doing that works against the goal? So that the easy one is, if we say set an agenda is a characteristic of a good meeting, the leader might say, well, sometimes I have an agenda and sometimes I don't.
Right.
So that's what they're doing or not doing instead of.
Okay. So these behaviors we've kind of put together artificially, but with a dose of reality. So then the worry box. That's where I'm most intrigued by this whole map. The worry box is if I don't wait for everybody to arrive, I'm afraid they'll feel dismissed when they come into the room, or embarrassed when they come into the room. Or if I wait for everybody to get there, then I've wasted 5 to 7 minutes of the people that took care, paid attention. So I'm worried I might hurt some feelings or damage some relationships. I'm worried people might say, well, Prosser, who made you in charge? Well, it says manager across my title, or it says senior pastor across my title. So I don't have to be arrogant. I have to be confident when I come into that. So I have all of these worries that I'm wrestling with, and that leads to some big assumptions. Tell me how we got here.
Right. So you take the worries and the flip side of them, which is what you're committed to, and then you ask the questions of people, what the thing you're worried about, what do you assume will happen as a result of that worry or this bundle of worries? And then you get the underlying assumptions that sort of the bucket of the worries that are bundled together.
Okay. So if I'm worried that I'll damage relationships, I'm really worried that trust is going to be broken. I'm assuming that trust is going to be broken.
That's right. I assume that is going to be the outcome of that worry, or sort of the worst that will happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
That.
And that's not, rarely is that the case. But we carry that assumption with us. Or I'm structured. I've got a written agenda. I'm working things on time. Somebody wants to chase a rabbit, and I pull them back, and I'm worried people are going to see me as too controlling if we go that route. Nobody wants to work with a micromanager, even though that's the last thing I would ever be, but I'm worried people might see me that way.
Right.
And then I'm worried that being organized and caring are incompatible. If I'm working with my team, for instance, they don't necessarily see me as the most organized person, but they do see me as caring and competent. So if I bring a printed agenda to a meeting, they're all going to go, whoa, what is this about? And so I'm carrying that assumption. Can I be organized and caring and competent all at the same time?
Right. And so, sort of the bigger point of that is the assumption that two things can be true about us. And sometimes we have this deep level of assuming those two things cannot be true, whichever the things are,
Okay. All right.
but they can.
So you said in the beginning, this is deep work.
Yes.
So let's go a little bit deeper into the worry box. Talk to me a little bit about this worry box when it comes to leading effective meetings.
So the idea is to make a list of every real worry or fear that shows up when you imagine doing something other than what you're doing now.
Okay.
So you've listed the behaviors in column 2 that you're doing now.
Uh-huh.
What are you worried about if you do something different? And you want to get that all out of your body and onto the paper.
Okay. So in the worry box, I'm worried if I change, this might happen.
Right.
Okay. So I want to have a more effective meeting. And right now, I wait for everybody to get here. If I change, I'm worried that I'll damage relationships.
Right.
All right. Or I'm worried I might be too structured and people might see me not caring about them.
Yes.
So in the worry box are all the things I'm worried about if I change.
If I do a different behavior than the list that you reported you're doing.
All right. So if I quit waiting for everybody to arrive,
Yeah.
I'm worried that people will feel dismissed or controlled.
Yes.
And I feel like people will see me as controlling and not caring.
Right.
Okay. So the worry box is where we sort of put our fear of
Yes.
the change we're anticipating.
For each of the behaviors.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So then that leads us to this next page. You say worries are the brakes and commitments are the gas. I'm not sure I understand that metaphor. Can you unpack that a little bit for me?
Sure. So if you said you are worried that people will see you as controlling, for instance, then the opposite is what you're committed to. I'm committed to people seeing me as creating a sense of belonging and including everybody. So the commitments are really your values and who you want to be. And the worries are the opposite, what you think will happen that might destroy the commitments. So see, the commitments are the values that you need to go in the right direction. And the worries are the fear of making the change.
Okay.
That you don't want to undermine the commitments.
Right. All right. So, and what makes this difficult is I got to be paying attention to my own and also paying attention to those of my team.
If you're a good leader, yes.
Well, I'm trying. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to have a good meeting, for goodness sakes.
Exactly. So that's what makes it the deep work, right?
Yeah. And the commitment is to servant leadership,
Right.
which means that more than one thing can be true at the same time.
Exactly.
I might be controlling, but I'm controlling because I care about you. Instead of having a 90-minute meeting where we chased rabbits for half of that time, in 30 to 35 minutes, we're going to get the main thing done and be done. So,
Right.
so I've freed up your time. I've not wasted your time. And we came away with what we wanted to come away with rather than wondering what in the world Aunt Mabel is going to talk about today.
Right. Because you could reframe the commitment to be good steward of the people's time.
Right. Okay. So the last part of that then are the assumptions, and you say they're hidden, and the hidden beliefs and assumptions drive everything. So what do these assumptions, how do these assumptions lead us towards the change that we desire?
If we uncover the assumptions, then we can test them, because assumptions are things that we use as placeholders for beliefs. But in a lot of people, if you don't always question your assumptions and dig for them to even recognize them, they default to becoming beliefs that drive our behavior.
Okay.
So we pull them up, label them what they are, which is assumptions, things that we don't know. We cannot call them a belief yet. We don't know that they're true. Then we test them, and that is how to create the change. Test
Okay.
the assumption.
All right. So we've worked through this map.
Yeah.
We've got our things down on paper that we can objectively understand, deal with, face our fears, understand the assumptions that are underneath that. What do we do next?
Well, the assumptions are the doorway to change.
Okay.
So the next step is to test each assumption in a way that is safe, so that if the test works or doesn't work, you haven't ruined a relationship or something that's important.
Okay. So in order to have a more effective meeting, I'm going to have a printed agenda. I'm not going to have times assigned to each thing we're doing. I'm not going to have something on there that says, please pay attention only to the work that we're doing. I'm just going to come in today with a printed agenda, and these are the things I want us to talk about. So that's that's a small step. It's a safe step, and it lets me test out some of the things that I was worried about.
That you were worried about. Right. It's
Right.
testing the worry while keeping your commitments.
Okay. Awesome. So then it's a safe place for me to fail, and it gives me permission, if you will, to gently redirect one aspect of the meeting.
Right. Because if that doesn't go well, you'll have instant feedback and can adjust your behavior to something that you think works better, and you haven't ruined the meeting or the relationship.
Okay.
It's a
All right.
small test.
So small steps. I say all the time, win little victories.
Right.
Make 100 things 1% better, so that the changes are small enough for me to feel good about the commitment and for the work to hopefully get better that we're doing together.
Yes.
All right. So I've said to myself, I'm going to bring a printed agenda to this next meeting. I'm going to try that and see what happens. And then I'm gathering data. You said the feedback will be immediate. Prosser's got an agenda this morning, or he must have been to a meeting, because now we're having meetings like the ones he's been to. Or somebody might say, well, finally, I appreciate getting something to let me know what we're going to talk about. Right?
Exactly.
So I hear all those. I mean, not everybody works with a team of cynics and skeptics, but I have before in my life. And they would all have something to say about whatever. So pay attention to that. It's not personal. It's just them being smart alecks, and it's okay to test out whether a printed agenda actually helps us have a good meeting or not. Or assigning times for discussion to each agenda item, see if that helps us have a good meeting or not. If it does, then keep doing it. If it doesn't, quit doing it.
Right.
So over time, this is very powerful. But here's my point of contention. You've said at several points, this is deep work. And most of us don't have the time nor really the inclination to do deep work. We want fast and immediate. So help me wrestle with this deepness that you keep bringing to me.
The idea is, I believe that when you look at the journey of changing your own behavior, this is the most direct process for doing it. And it doesn't take any more time than doing the same thing over and over again, trying to change your behavior, and it doesn't stick, is not going any faster. If
Right.
that was going fast, people wouldn't be looking for this other way.
Right. And if it was working well, people wouldn't be looking for this other way.
People
And
wouldn't be looking. So here, the goal is not to muscle your way through changing that behavior. Instead, the work just switches to small experiments about your assumptions. Instead, it is a reframe, not necessarily a longer journey, because if the change isn't sticking, you're still on the journey anyhow.
okay. All right. So if the change doesn't work, we go back to normal, whatever that means, we have an opportunity to reevaluate and change again. It's not just one change and then, well, that didn't work, so we're just going to leave it alone and go back to normal. If we're really committed to being servant leaders, we're going to keep working to find ways to make positive change happen.
Yes.
Okay. So, the doorway to change is continued curiosity about our assumptions. And that word assume, we all know that saying behind the word assume. We don't want to be that. We don't want to make anybody else be that. How do we live into curiosity? How do we keep our imagination alive as we begin to work through this change model?
I think that this approach, from my perspective, it's nice to give yourself permission to look at how your assumptions are driving your behavior rather than beating yourself up about, I've tried over and over to do the same thing and it doesn't stick. That's very judgy about yourself. It's this approach gives you permission to say, hey, I understand a little bit better how change works in the brain, and it's not driven by muscling your way through, try harder, make a better effort. Instead, it's looking at what drives the change and tweaking that
Yeah.
rather than beating yourself up about can't make it stick.
So, what if I did lose 10 pounds? What would be the difference? What would be the positive outcome of that? Or if I did take my medicine every day correctly, what would be the positive outcome of that? Or if I do have a good meeting, what would be the positive outcome of that? And we may not do it, but we engage our curiosity and imagination to expect it.
Absolutely. I think that that's super important, and it's a positive approach instead of, oh, I'm just struggling and can't make this happen.
Yeah, yeah. Doing the same things over and over and over and over again and expecting different results is insanity. So
And
we've
hope
been
is
told,
not a strategy.
right? Yes. So keeping keeping things normal is not a strategy.
Right.
All right. So some closing thoughts. You always just make my brain itch, and I'm so grateful. You always see things from a different way, and you keep bringing to us these challenges. If you haven't watched our discussion on anti-fragility, I want to invite you to our YouTube channel, Center for Christian Education, and find that video. It's fascinating, equally as fascinating as our discussion this morning. So, a couple of closing thoughts. We are as normal now as we're ever going to be. A lot of folks say, oh, I wish we could go back to 1950. Or I'll be glad when these 4 years are over and things get back to normal. Or I'll be glad when I finally lose 10 pounds and everything is back to normal. I'll be glad when we go back to having meetings like we used to have them and everything is normal. Well, normal ain't coming back. Right?
Right. We're in the here and now, and this is where we need to live.
Right. So, embracing change takes hard work and courage, but it's worth it.
For sure. And I think it's gives you a good feeling, like you were saying at the beginning about control. This is taking control of it in a fresh way.
Yeah. Okay. So fail forward, not final. Failure is never final unless we quit. So give ourselves opportunities for small and safe steps to take to embrace change.
Absolutely.
Understand that resistance is not defiance. If I take anything away from our conversation today, it's this statement. Resistance is not defiance. That immunity to change is within us. And as leaders, we have to find a way to lead into the change we desire. There will be resistance. You can expect resistance. I have a Post-it note on my desk that says 20% of the people are against everything.
That's great. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have to lead them. There will be some who defy us, and they'll be left behind.
Yeah.
And sorry about that, but that was their choice, not mine.
Right.
And finally, keep trying. This is deep work, and this is a whole new approach for looking at change and change management. So I would encourage you, as you put this into practice, win little victories. Celebrate the little steps that you're able to take. Every step forward is important. So keep trying, keep winning, keep working, keep going deeper. It is my goal to help us go deeper with friends like Dr. Pamela I. Pam, thank you so much for joining me. I just look forward to so much our time together. I'm telling you, this is such good stuff. And once we finally get it fixed and can bring it out, I'm always just so excited. So thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for chatting about this. And it's super interesting. And I hope it helps a lot of people.
The book is Kagan and Leahy's Immunity to Change. I won't read you the subtitle. Immunity to Change is all you need to know to find it out there. Also, if you want to see this in action, Brene Brown's podcast, Dare to Lead, she works through this map with Lisa Leahy in 2 podcast sessions as they work through the map, right?
Yeah, and it's so interesting to listen to it.
And to watch Brene have an aha moment.
Right.
That's a really exciting moment for me in that podcast when it kind of breaks out into her brain and she gets it. If you want the map, let me know. I'll send you the slides for our video. These will be available. We'll also put a teaching guide together for you. But if you buy the book, the map is in the book as well. But if you want the slides, let me know and I'll send those to you. Also, if you want to go further and go deeper with a fascinating coach, dr.pamela.i@gmail.com will get you to one of the best brains that I know in the business. Benjamin Franklin said, I use all the brains I have and all the brains I can borrow. So, Dr. Pamela I, thank you for letting me borrow your brain for this last hour. It's just fascinating, and I love spending time with you.
And you as well, and I always learn something from you, so it helps me too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bo Prosser, bo.prosser@gmail.com, Center for Christian Education, www.c4ce.org, our YouTube channel, Center for Christian Education on YouTube, and you'll see hundreds of videos there. If you're not on our mailing list, please let me know and I'll get you on our mailing list. And when you go to that YouTube channel to watch this video, please push that little subscribe button. that's underneath the title. That helps us know that you're with us and partnering with us, and it means so much. It's an affirmation you don't even know you're giving us, but we appreciate it so much. Bo Prosser, Center for Christian Education, Bo and the Beard. Till I see you again next time, keep on rocking.